What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Phantoms, based off the Dean Koontz novel of the same name. This movie is also written by Koontz himself, so he pretty much adapted his own novel. Phantom tells the story of these five survivors in this town called Snowfield, and they pretty much have to find out what happened to this town that has been completely wiped out by some evil force. That's pretty much the plot of Phantoms. Let's talk about it. I overall thought that this movie was kind of boring. I didn't care for this movie whatsoever. Now, do I think this movie is unwatchably bad? Not really. Do I think it's unwatch? Do I think it's hilariously stupid and really over the dramatic and hammy? Oh, absolutely. As a movie, I think Phantoms is a blatant ripoff of John Carpenter's The Thing, and not even a good one at that, because the creature in this movie pretty much has the same characteristics of The Thing, in which it can mimic other people and gain their knowledge and all kinds of nonsense like that. Only this movie thinks it's being very witty and creative and intelligent because it has mountains of exposition that is so wordy. You're like, what are you people talking about? This is a science fiction monster movie. I don't need these theoretical explanations as to what's going on. Just show me the monsters. And when the monsters are on screen, to this movie's credit, it's kind of cool. It's kind of enjoyable in a humorous type of way because it's so goofy. Though I think that Joe Chappelle's directing is kind of choppy, to say the least. I mean, this is the same genius that directed The Curse of Michael Myers. He's not a fantastic director, but at the same time, he's not the drizzling shits either. He's mediocre at best. There are certain moments, there are certain scenes that are pretty decently directed. Like there's this one scene where the group of characters goes into this hotel and does a little exploration, and it does have a little bit of suspense to it. I'm not gonna lie. And some of the acting in this movie is halfway decent. Ben Affleck, he is the bomb in this movie, yo. So he was pretty good as the sheriff with a checkered past. Lee Schreiber's in this movie as his deputy, and his character is that of just a weirdo, and that's it. They don't really fully give an explanation as to what is going on with the character of Wargle, played by Lee Schreiber. He just comes across as just this weird, kooky guy, and there's no explanation as to why he's like this. And we also get Rose McGowan and Jennifer Going playing sisters, and they're okay. Their acting is so bland and forgettable. It's like watching two cardboard cutouts. And then you have the great Peter O'Toole in this movie, who plays a tabloid journalist who happens to know a thing or two about this ancient evil, but he's just there to dump exposition among exposition among exposition. His character is only there to just explain things. He doesn't have a character arc. And if you can call it a character arc, his character arc is to pretty much tell the world about the ancient evil. That's pretty much his sole purpose, is to explain what's going on. He has no purpose. Performance-wise, Cushing and Affleck are pretty much the two best actors in this whole movie, and it's not really saying a lot. This movie came out early in Ben Affleck's career, so he didn't really refine his chops as an actor, at least to me yet, in movies like this, in a schlock movie like this. Peter O'Toole, he's a very credible actor, and he's a consummate professional, so he's going to give, even though he's in a movie that's beneath him, he's going to at least he's going to act the hell out of it and at least earn his paycheck. So I give him that. And Ben Affleck, to his credit, he did try to bring some charisma to the role of an overall bland character whose only defining moment was that he killed a child during a drug raid, and because of that, he retired as an FBI agent and became a local sheriff. That's pretty much the extent of Ben Affleck's character. I don't think this movie did a good job at even exploring how that destroyed this man's psyche, to be honest with you. This movie, pretty much from the word go, is just doing things, and that's pretty much it. It does things and does very little explanation. And when it does do explanation, it's mostly explaining the creature and not the characters. Like, I feel like I don't know who these people are, to be honest with you. They're so bland and forgettable, and the performances are not any of that great. And the writing in this movie is not witty, and it's not intelligent. The writing in this movie is just self-pandering and self-meandering, and for a horror movie, you're doing an overabundance of just exposition writing to make your movie sound like it has a brain, when in actuality It has the brain of a dum-dum who thinks he's smart, and that's what this movie is. This movie is a dum-dum who thinks it's smart. This movie is not smart. This movie's not even all that scary. It's kind of silly, to be honest with you. And Joe, like I said earlier, Joe Chappelle, he's not a fantastic director. He's a mediocre director. Some scenes in this movie are well directed. Other scenes in this movie are sloppily directed. There's this one scene where there's an overabundance of shaky cam, and while all that's happening, it's during a strobe lighting effect. And shaky cam and strobe lighting does not make for a good combination because it can give you a seizure and make you throw up. And that's what this movie, and not because of the on-screen violence. It's because the directing is very shoddy and the cinematography is ugly. However, I would say this movie does have decent atmosphere. The whole deserted town does add a value of creepiness. And like I said, Ben Affleck and Peter O'Toole are the only two good actors who have any on-screen presence and are actually trying to give their characters some charisma. You know, when the creature is on screen, it is entertaining in a very silly way. I mean, for God's sakes, a man dies by getting killed by an overgrown, giant-sized moth. You can't get no more sillier than that. I think this movie would have been much better if it actually played itself as a joke instead of trying to be serious. Because when this movie is being serious, it's kind of bad. If this movie would have played itself as a joke, it would have been actually mildly entertaining. Instead, it's just overabundantly forgettable. And that's really all I can say about Phantom. This movie does not really leave much to the desired. It's a forgettable movie. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing really all that bad. To be honest with you, this movie is 90 minutes and it feels like it was on for 3 hours. It moves at such a sluggish pace, and the story is just cookie cutter and not investing that your attention span is gonna get tested watching this thing. But overall, I'm gonna give Phantoms a solid. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Some of the production's fine, some of the acting is fine, some of the creature attacks are fine but silly, and that's pretty much all I got to say. Those are my thoughts on Phantoms. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.